Oh, a microphony.
And a phony at the mic.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
The Doctor of Discernment is now online.
You know, much like my show, in that it's a local reaction to things that are happening on a federal level.
Dispensing a daily dose of common sense. No prescription required.
Wow, do I have a boatload of stuff for you, from the crazy to the absurd. Let's start getting into it because, I mean, it is bizarro world out there. And I say, if it's obvious to me, should be obvious to everyone. Oh, wow. Who could have seen this coming?
This is the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage.
Hold on to your butts.
Broadcasting from the basement bunker beneath Kettle Radio. Welcome to the Fourth Hour with Greg Belfrage, back on YouTube. And my thanks to Midwest Communications that I had set up my YouTube account with my company email, and it worked just fine up until a few weeks ago. And then suddenly I couldn't. I use a program that, forgive me, I'm terrible with names at times. StreamYard. I use StreamYard in order to stream both on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time. And suddenly StreamYard was blocked, and I could not have access to my work email account. And that's how I had set up YouTube. So anyway, thanks to Midwest Communications, they got it back up and running. Special thanks to Zach, who was instrumental in making that happen. So, and my boss, Tom, as well, I let him know what was going on and why the sudden change, what happened. So got all straightened out. I appreciate your patience. So now, one of the reasons why I really was reluctant to set up a new YouTube page is we've got hundreds of subscribers on YouTube. And so to lose all of those hundreds of subscribers and have to start from the beginning again was a little bit frustrating. So I wanted to at least give the company a little bit of time to correct that, and they did. And so we're back, baby. We're back. And it's great to have you along. I don't have a lot of stuff this morning. I want to say thank you. Earlier this month, and I wanted to have the exact date for you because I have to write this down as to when I actually, my first morning show was Monday, May 2nd, 2005. That's when I started hosting the Greg Belfrage Show, the morning show. It was on Monday, May 2nd, 2005. So we just passed the, I realize this, it's like I'm watching May pretty quickly coming to a halt. And I want to at least say something that it's been 20 years that I've been hosting the show on radio. And I just got such wonderful emails from some of you. I really appreciate them. I think there's a few that I can. Steve, you're one of them. Really appreciated what you had to say. One of a number of folks, Mike had sent me an email wishing me a happy 20th anniversary. I remember the beginning as you described it, a shock and bumpy road. Sorry you got the blame. I'm with you every morning. I hate it when you take time off. You know, a lot of you tell me that, and I appreciate it. I wish I love my job and I love being there. I also love taking time off like all of you do. But thanks to Michael, Steve Areno sent me an email as well. And he said, I remember the day you appeared out of nowhere on the morning show. I was slaving away in the kitchen at work, and then you came on the air, and I thought, something's up, but they're using Greg to fill in, to fill in on the morning show. He said, straight off, I was grateful because he wasn't the biggest fan of the previous morning show. And he said, when everything came out about what happened and about the previous morning show, and it was Chad McKenzie, who preceded me, he was let go by the company, which once And I didn't say this morning on the air. Now, this was not Midwest Communications. This was a company at the time, Backyard Broadcasting, okay, and they are now defunct. There is no longer a Backyard Broadcasting. Backyard Broadcasting took a beating. I'm telling you, they took a beating. Now, I personally took a beating, people who were degrading me, so on. Backyard Broadcasting financially took a beating. And you had advertisers who were pulling their money and they didn't want it. It was an ill-advised move. And even they, afterward, then they're like, okay, yeah, so that wasn't the best idea. I'm like, yeah, maybe you should have asked some of us before you, before you went that way. And they're like, we would have moved him to Kello FM. We would have retained him. We would have moved that show elsewhere. There are other things we could have done. And yeah, it was by that point, it was too little too late, and they got pummeled. But it was pretty rough for Backyard Broadcasting. And then consequently, it was rough for me. Anyway, Steve goes on to say, of Chad McKenzie, he said he was a fixture in this town. I remember listening to him and Harley as a kid when my parents listened to the radio in the mornings, Now, I wasn't listening to Harley and Chad. I was already down here and working at that point and doing other things. But I remember listening to Harley in the morning with Warren West at that time, who I have an immense amount of respect for. These guys who were at radio or at Kello Radio, in those early days and the things they did and the amount of their own longevity here. I never thought I would, seriously, was I going to last 20 years on Kello Radio in the mornings? No. If I would have had to bet on that, no, anyway, he says, I still miss the straight talk days. That's when I was on in the afternoon. And Steve, that's when I remember you coming into the fold, was when I was hosting straight talk in the afternoon. That was from 4 to 6, initially on Kello. And he said, you were wrapping up my day at work. And he said, I think I've still got a straight talk mug in the box somewhere. We've still got some of them rumbling around here too. Happy 20 years in the morning show. Here's to 20 more, God willing, Steve said. Gina also saying, thank you. She said, I don't know how long I've been listening other than it seems like I always have. Gina said, I know it's been a lot of years, but I'm sure you weren't there in the beginning years. Once I found you, I just never left you. Originally, when I was driving to work, when I got to work, I had to often force myself to shut off the radio and get into work. And I've heard when I was doing the afternoon show, Gina, I heard something very similar to that. People would say they would get home, right? They're listening to me on the way home, and they would get home and they would sit in the driveway. I want you to understand how meaningful that is to somebody like me, that rather than turn off the radio, that you would stay in the car until there was a break, or you know what I mean? And Gina is saying this is the same thing, getting into work, and she doesn't want to turn the radio off. God bless all of you. You understand how flattering that is and how meaningful it is to me to be that big a part of your life. This is why I was moved to tears this morning. I have such a connection with all of you. And it's important to me. One of my own personal philosophies is I don't want to leave things left unsaid. I don't ever want to leave something left unsaid with somebody that's important to me. And that's how I feel about you guys as well. I don't want to leave anything left unsaid. I want you to know how much I appreciate all of you, how important it has been to me, that you start your day with what, we're doing. And I keep that very much at the top of my mind, as I'm looking through events and what's going on, rather than talking about myself. And even here, you know, it would be easy because there are a number of things that I'm passionate about. And from time to time, maybe, we touch very briefly on those things. But I try to concentrate, especially on the air, on things that are meaningful and what's going on. And I think, okay, what do I want to hear about in the morning? What are the things that are important? What are the things that, if I was looking to somebody else, what are the things that I would want to hear them discussing and bringing to my attention? That is on my mind each and every day that I'm preparing the show, doing the morning show. My focus is on you. It really is. And even though some of you I've never met, we've maybe never spoken. This is one of the reasons why I'm always appealing to people that if you see me somewhere and you know it's me, please say hello. Introduce yourself. The reason I ask you to do that's not for you. It's for me. I want to be able to say thank you. And I do. I think those of you who have met me, I say thank you so much for listening. I ask people their first names. I don't want them to feel like I'm going to follow them home or anything. So, but I want to know their name, and I want them to understand how much I appreciate all of you. Anyway, Gina was going on to say thank you. She says, I know that it takes a lot of time and effort to put together the stories that you do. I want to remind you that I'm a fan, and I suspect that as long as you and I are both on Earth and doing what we do, I will be, she said. She said, you're a few years younger than me, but not much. It's that weird relationship that feels like you're a close friend that I talk to every day, even though we wouldn't necessarily recognize each other in a restaurant. And that's true. And this is the thing. And I've heard this from actual friends of mine that I will reach out to them and I say, hey, how are you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. What's going on? And they're like, I listen to you every day. And so they feel connected to me through the radio show. And I'm like, why haven't I heard from you? But they're like, I didn't stop to think about that. Yeah. Man, how are you? It's kind of funny how that works. I got a number of other emails here as well, and I don't want to get too much into them. I just want you to know how grateful I am for all of you and what we do. And then especially those of you who are here on social media. Okay, so now it's the radio show, right? That's the radio show. And then what I'm doing on Facebook, on YouTube, you're here as well. You're taking extra steps. It's like, okay, I'm going to spend a little bit more time with Greg today, and boom, you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook. I'm just so touched by that. I mean, you folks are incredible. And I have said this many times, and I believe it. It's absolutely true. I couldn't do what I do were it not for you. If you were not there, if folks were not listening, if folks were not engaging, it's one of the reasons why I've gotten a little bit concerned about the lack of phone calls on the morning show, but that's how it goes. It really is. That is a roller coaster. I try to get to calls every day. Some days, man, I've got more calls than I've got time for. Other days, I can't buy a phone call, but I always know you're there. I always know you're there. But phone calls is, I've got more than enough time every morning to say what I want to say. and to make sure that if there's a big story or whatnot, I've got the time to be able to touch on it, bring it to your attention, to make sure you heard about it. One of the things that I'm trying to do is to invite you into the conversation so that you can sound off on these things and share your thoughts, and so that people throughout the course of the day go, hey, I heard you at Belfrage show this morning. It happens to people, believe it or not, it does. Folks will say, man, it was amazing. They use some other name generally. Then they call in, they use a different name. And then they're always surprised over the course of the day, the number of people who heard them. And it's always a lot of fun. But yeah, 20 years now on the morning show. I don't know, another 20 more. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know that I want to be there for that, that 40th year. But I'm just so grateful for all of you. And if you take nothing else away from today, I hope you take that away. That this is so much fun for me. I don't mind getting up early in the morning. I get up early, 2:45. It's when my alarm goes off. And really, once I'm up and going, I'm grateful to have a job that I really enjoy. I'm grateful to be able to talk to people who, want to share their thoughts, and that, the show is meaningful to them. I'm just filled with gratitude every day. It's like, hey, I got to do something that I enjoy for work, and work is not drudgery. Work is, there are parts of it that I don't enjoy as much, but overall, I love my job. And there are a lot of people in the world who can't say that. They find themselves doing things that they really don't enjoy. I have not been one of them. And all of you, are just an insanely big part of that. And so I wanted to say thanks. Okay, you made it to the end of the video, so that's a wrap for today. And you are part of my gallery of champions. Special salute for the Bunker Brigade, those of you who are attuned to social media and you're on and you're participating, not only in the radio show, you're here every day and participating, whether you comment or not. The fact that, just following, and I know a number of you do. I'm just so grateful for all of you. So let's leave it there for today. Until tomorrow, my friend, I'm underground and gone.